This year, TaylorMade have brought out their 4th generation of the high toe wedges. Now you've probably already heard about these. The idea with them is that they've got a larger toe area, they've also got the grooves all the way across the face to try and make the clubs a little bit more forgiving for those who maybe struggle with their wedge play. Now of course they also have their standard wedge model, and what we're going to do today is put these two head to head in a few different scenarios to test and see if there's one that suits a given shot better than the other, to try and help you guys out with which wedge you should be using, and just to see if you could potentially be getting more from your short game by changing to one of these wedges. So a big difference in these wedges comes from the way they look. If we start off with the MG4 wedges, for me this is kind of just classically how a wedge should look, especially at address. We've got the normal wedges coming across with the gaps at the heel and the toe, and it's just that regular sort of shape. Nothing too out there, nothing too different. That's not the case when we come to the high toe. The difference is here, when you put this down at address, you will massively see this increased toe area here, much bigger face size. And of course, we've got the grooves going all the way across the face here. Now for me, when I put this down at address, I have to admit, I'm not completely sold on the look of it. And I would assume that's maybe the reason that a lot of golfers wouldn't go for them, is purely just how it looks. But if it performs better, you might want to consider it, and that's what we're about to find out. So going into some tech behind the high toe wedges, in this 4th generation, something new that we're seeing is a bigger mass pad at the back of the club, putting some extra weight behind this toe area where you might be more likely to strike it with these wedges, giving a bit more forgiveness. The overall face of the wedge is bigger than previous models. We're also seeing the full face grooves here in the higher lofted wedges, so 54 degrees and up. On the grooves, what you will see in this 4th generation is that the bottom groove is painted gold. Now the reason for this is because of the shape of these. It encourages the golfer to actually line the ball up closer to the toe area so that you wouldn't actually strike it in the middle. So this is just to help golfers find the middle when you're stood to address. We've also got more offset and a more pronounced leading edge, which is meant to help golfers wanting to hit those higher shots, being able to open the face and get it landing nice and soft. There's a number of different grinds available. Today I've got the ATC in 8 degrees of bounce. This grind is more suited to firmer conditions and for people with a shallower angle of attack. So we're going to do 5 different scenarios, putting these wedges head to head, looking at which one performs best and going through the pros and cons of why you might want to choose one of these wedges over the other. Let's get into it. So we've got 65 yards here. We're going to test out the pitch shot. I'm going to go in first with the MG4. This is the wedge that's just a bit more familiar for me. I feel a little bit more comfortable with. Just a bit short. We'll see if we can get a little bit closer with the high toe. Although I always feel a little bit uncomfortable with the high toe wedges when I stand over them. I do think that gold groove makes a big difference. It's a lot easier to line that up, and I think if that wasn't there, I probably would be lining it up a lot closer to the toe. So I really like that addition there. Very consistent, just coming up a bit short there. Let's see if we can get this one in close again. I think in terms of feel, they really do feel quite similar, which is quite impressive. Visually for me, standing over that, aiming to hit almost a full shot was a little bit uncomfortable, but it did perform just as well, if not better, getting me in close to the flag. I think for me still, I would prefer to use the normal wedge. It looks a little bit more like an iron, it's just a bit more familiar for those longer pitch shots in. So with the pitch shots, there's not loads of technique there, whereas when we're coming onto a shot like this in the bunker, I think we might see some more differences between these two types of wedges. So we're just going to start off with the normal wedge for me, see how we get on, and then we'll try the high toe here. A little bit chunky, but it works. Coming on to the high toe wedges, now the idea with these wedges is I should be able to really open the face here, and because you've got the full face grooves going all the way across, got a nice big area to hit from when you're really trying to open that face up. I'm going to hit a couple normal shots like I just did there, and then we'll maybe play around with a few tricky situations and see if one really outperforms the other. Oh. That'd have been good if that would have went in, wouldn't it? That'd have been like, yeah, point proven, the high toes meant for the bunker. I honestly wouldn't say there's too much difference in terms of how they've performed there. You've got 2 shots pretty close, 2 that have gone on a little bit. There isn't loads of difference there, but let's go in with some tricky situations. All right, first in here with the MG4. To be fair, I'll take that. Very, very similar, to be fair, in terms of performance. I think there's 2 sides to it there, in that there's definitely more forgiveness with this one, just naturally through having that bigger face. For me, I didn't like the feel of it being set up. I had more confidence that I was actually gonna get out with the normal wedge. So next up is my least favorite shot ever. I really dislike playing these high lob shots. If I can avoid them, I will. But hopefully the added grooves on there might help out a little bit. We're gonna go in first of all with the normal wedge, see what the starting point is. Well, that was actually quite good, but that's not normally how those kind of shots would go. I've completely spoofed everyone there, because that's not how I play lob shots. Ooh. Okay, I just always have the fear with those kind of shots of either chunking them straight into that bunker or shelling it straight through the back. But we've got a bigger face now. We've got more face, that big open toe area. See if we get a bit more forgiveness here. See, that feels a lot easier to just kind of clip off the turf. We've obviously also got that wider sole helping out for these kind of shots too. Again, pretty similar in terms of performance. I think surprisingly, I actually would choose the high toe there, which is not something I thought I would say, because previously I've not been 100% convinced on these, but I definitely think that helps out with just a bit more forgiveness for these kind of shots. All right, so we've just got a standard little chip shot here. For me, I would look to play this as a bump and run. Now, obviously we've spoke about the benefits of the high toe. I feel as though here it's almost more of an inconvenience with this, because you haven't got the same sort of workability with the normal wedge to be able to close the face and just hit that low little one in. Well, that wasn't very good. Let's try another one. I mean, they spin massively, which actually isn't something I really wanted for that shot. It'll probably be the same case for this wedge. I just think with this kind of shot, with the normal wedge, visually, it looks a lot more comfortable. And I feel like you've got so much more control of putting the face where you want it, closing it in nicely for this shot. That first shot wasn't a fair representation of the high toe, that was me, but I would still go for the normal wedge with this shot. I just prefer that element of versatility, being able to work with it a little bit more, and I just think it looks a lot nicer at address. All right, final scenario here, just out of the rough from the side of the green. I'm gonna go in with the high toe wedge first here. I think from that kind of shot, I felt as though I could swing with a bit more behind it, knowing that I had that comfort blanket of the bigger face, which is quite nice. And then when you stand up to it with this, all of a sudden that club head looks really, really small, which is interesting because this isn't a shot I'd normally sort of worry about at all. But I think if you are someone who's maybe just worried about hitting that center point from these kind of shots, that high toe wedge is just going to give you a lot more forgiveness. I have to admit, when I first saw these high toe wedges, I just wasn't convinced at all because I really didn't feel comfortable with how they looked at a dress. However, after today's testing, I can definitely see the benefits and why some people might choose to have these in the bag. I think if you're somebody who struggles a little bit with their short game and specifically isn't comfortable with those more tricky shots where you could do with a little bit of added forgiveness, especially if you're someone who misses a lot of greens or struggles with those trickier shots around the greens, these could be a great option just to give you a little bit more forgiveness and confidence that you're going to be able to go for those trickier shots more. Of course, when you're choosing your wedges, you don't necessarily have to have all 3 wedges the same. So you could look to have 2 of the more normal wedges and then maybe put 1 of the high toe wedges in so that you've got that in that locker to get you out of trouble when you need it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments, what wedges are you currently using and would you consider switching to the high toe wedges? Thank you guys for watching and subscribe for more.